Hello and welcome to episode 209 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet in my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is November 20th, 2023. Today I'm wearing something fairly old and something brand new. So I'll start with the shawl. This is a triangular shawl that I knit for my wedding. I used some, I think it was Lana Grossa yarn. You can find it on my Ravelry page if you're interested. You can also check out the pattern. It was a free pattern back then, and it was a pattern that you started at the tip of the shawl. And the good thing about that was that you sort of learned the pattern as you were going. First you just did one pattern repeat, then two, then three, and so on. And it was a good way of learning the pattern. Unfortunately, I only thought about adding beads to the shawl after I had already started knitting it. So I bought these very nice beads that I couldn't have knitted into because they had a very small hole in the middle. So after I finished the shawl, I sewed more than 200 beads onto the shawl. And it took me until the night before the wedding to finish sewing all the beads. So that was rather crazy. So you knit the shawl as big as you want it or as much yarn, depending on how much yarn you have. And then there's this edging that's, I think it was a knit it on edge. You cast on a few stitches and then you knit back and forth and bound off the stitches like that. So it means the edge is really nice and stretchy. And yeah, and I'm really happy with it. And my wedding was a beautiful day and I loved wearing it then. I don't really wear it very often now because it's this off-white or cream white. It's not a color that I wear very often, but I do every now and then, and it's full of happy memories. And the pullover, as most of you will know, is very new. I knitted this summer, and when I finished knitting it, it was way too warm to wear it. So now is the day that I'm actually wearing it on the podcast. I used Lama yarn, so it's a bit like the bulky alpaca yarn by Hansa Farm. It's very warm and very, very nice. I knit the pattern is by Nicolor, Wiener Hop, and it's one of those maximum freedom patterns where you knit the swatch as part of the pullover. So this back piece here is sort of the swatch, and then you close to knit it in the round. And I think it's a perfect fit. It worked really well following her pattern. I only had 500 grams of the blue, which is why I added one skein of the off-white. They didn't have a pure white, which is why the shawl really works well with it. And yeah, in the beginning, I meant to only add stripes to the yoke, but I had no idea that with the thick yarn and being a small person, I only got 3 of those stripes. So I decided to do more stripes in the front and back of the pullover. And then with the sleeves, this was the first sleeve I knit. I was worried. I wanted to add 1 stripe before the ribbing just for fun, but then I was worried the blue yarn wouldn't be enough, so I added another stripe. But with the second, I had enough blue yarn left, so with the second sleeve I knit it completely in blue, and I just didn't want to undo this one, and I'm very happy with 2 different sleeves. And then, but again, when I was knitting down, I was starting to run out of the blue, so I decided to knit this ribbing in stripes, and I'm very happy with the way this looks, the way this fits. I think it's a nice length. It's a bit longer than I usually knit my pullovers, unless I knit them really long. But yeah, for considering the amount of yarn that I had, I'm really pleased that I almost used up all the blue, and I still have yarn left from the white, especially as I had 2 skeins. Yeah, but I'll probably knit some accessories with those, so maybe a hat or a loop. Probably no wrist warmers because the sleeves they're not too long, but they're nice and long, and I don't think I would knit gloves with this big yarn. I don't know. Anyway, so finally I can show the pullover on me. You can see that it fits and what it looks like. And I just love the pattern, and I'll definitely knit more pullovers with this pattern. The next one will probably be sock yarn, opal sock yarn, and but maybe I'll knit a lace version someday. I have ideas, and I have the pattern, so I can use it again and again if I want to, which I don't usually do, but these things happen. Okay, so that's what I'm wearing. Then on to finished objects. And I usually try to show the oldest finished object first. I didn't check, but I think the crochet shawl is older than the socks. I finished the Duinen crochet shawl crocheted out of hand-dyed yarn by Wolldackel. And it's a bit smaller than I expected the shawl to be with 2 skeins of yarn. I still had a little bit left from both colors, but I crocheted all the rounds that were in the pattern, but I must have gotten something wrong because at the end of the pattern, you're supposed to, well, kind of decrease down to the last few stitches so that you get this line going up here. And I did not have enough stitches to crochet the way they said. So I don't know where I went wrong or what was the basic mistake. I've no idea. It's a nice little shawl, and I sometimes, depending on the situation, I like little shawls as well, so I can just put something in my neck if I just want a little bit of warmth. Maybe I want just a little bit of color. Those rare days I'm just running around in black, or maybe I'm wearing a black dress and I just want to put some color on it. This would be fine. I did crochet the last almost 30 rows, I think 28 rows with the dark yarn. I think I already did 4 rows instead of 2 with the dark yarn here, just sort of to fade the white out, something like that. Quite happy with that. I'm really interested to see what this shawl is going to look like after it's been blocked. So I made sure not to wash and block it last week because I did want to show it to you the way it came off the needle. Was probably the wrong expression, but the way I stopped it, I finished it. And then this week I want to wash and block it. And then next week I hope to wear it. And yeah, and then we'll see whether it makes a big difference or not. And I have no idea what to wear it with yet, but I'll have to look through all my knitted pullovers and see what it fits, what it goes with well. We'll see. So finished object number 1, then finished object number 2 are the film reel socks number 7. This should be socks number 7. I knit them for my first nephew, so I was knitting film reel socks for my sister's family, so for her husband, her 2 sons, and then nephew number 1's girlfriend. So 5 people got 1 pair each, and then both nephews got a second pair. So this is the second pair for nephew number 1. Nephew number 2 already has 2 pairs. So you know the pattern. Don't have to say a lot about it. Most of the film reel socks I knit with the Cats and Dogs series by Opal, and I'm going to use those colors as well for my socks. But these I knit with the gray from the something with water. I keep forgetting what the series is called. Yeah, anyway, it's a fairly new series by Opal, and it's that gray. And I like the way it sort of created different sort of films in the socks. And I'm pretty sure my nephew's going to be really happy. This is going to be a Christmas present, as it took me that long to knit them for him. So I'm pretty sure he'll be happy. And the third finished object is also my new object of the week. So again, I started something and finished it. But not just to have a finished object, because I already had that before I cast this on. And I knitted a small headband. And I used Hansa Farm's Alpaka DK in black and light grey. I started with a provisional cast on, and then I knitted a few rounds of stockinette in black, then I knit the pattern, I knit another few rounds of stockinette, then I knit the same number of rounds that I did in the pattern, I knit in 2x2 rib. It's really difficult to show because of the black color, but I think you can see it like this. And then I undid the provisional cast on and I sewed the beginning and the end together with the Kitchener stitch. So now you can't see where I started or finished knitting the thing. It just looks as if it was just knit all around, and I can choose whether I want a black headband, just very simple, or I want to show the pattern. And the reason I knit this was to try out how to measure the circumference of something, in this case my head, with a crochet chain and use that for the provisional cast on, and so I can start something in the round without having to do a gauge swatch. And I'll explain why I did this and why I'm going to make a tutorial video for the crochet chain provisional cast on at the end of the video. But the other thing I wanted to show you is that this nice pattern, it's just a pattern I got from this book. It's called Knittivation. It's the new Stitch Dictionary by Andrea Rangel. I got this book as a present, or better, I got a voucher, and for that I bought this book. And I already have her first book with 2-color stitch patterns. It's called, I forgot what it's called, but I'm sure you can find it. And when I saw that she came out with a second book, I really wanted to have it. So it was fantastic that I got that voucher. And so this is just one of the patterns out of this book. And yeah, and I will probably use it again and again in the future. And I can't wait to knit socks with those little dinosaurs. That's one of the things I really want to do. Yeah, so these are my 3 finished objects for the week. Quite happy to that I'm getting things done. But on with works in progress. And I usually continue with the socks, and I'll do that again now, but there's only one pair of socks that I can show you at the moment because the other pair of socks will come at the end of the video. And these are the Squiggley Madness socks that do not look mad at all because I heavily modified the pattern to get this yeah, nice and simple sock with just 2 contrast color stripes. I had finished knitting the heel last week, and I started with the gusset decreases. I finished the decreases and I started on the foot, and I guess I've probably have half the foot now, and now it's just straight down until I get to the toe. And yeah, I will do a contrast color toe with the brown again, and I would really like to finish sock number 1 this week so I can start on the second one and get them done well before Christmas so I have time to send them off. That's what I'm hoping to do. So this is the elephant color from this year's rainforest colors, and I really wanted to knit the color, but I wasn't too keen on wearing it, so I'm really happy to be knitting this as a present. And yeah, I think by next week I'll be able to show the whole color repeat on the sole where it's just stockinette, and you can it's where you can see the colors the clearest, I would say. So that is that. Then I am knitting the fingerless mitts as part of the pattern battle with the Opal Abo yarn, where everybody taking part has to knit this color. And I finished fingerless mitt number 1. I think the only thing that was missing was the little thumb. That wasn't a lot of knitting to do, so I just knit a few more rounds. I think I added 1 more bead, and then I knit this little double edging, same as up here and down here. And yeah, so this is finished. I started the second one, and with I usually add beads to my knitting with a crochet hook or with some dental floss. But with this pattern, you string the beads onto the yarn before you start knitting. And this is the color for the second mitt. So I decided to use different color beads, and so this is the second color, and this is what the beads look like on the knitting. So I finished the cuff. I'm now at the point where I start with the thumb increases, and that's the point where you start knitting purl stitches on the palm of the hand. But yeah, so right now you can see the different color beads on the mitts, and I really like it. They're not quite as strong in color as these, but I'm still very happy, and I think they really harmonize with the yarn very well. So I'm really happy. Yeah, so I can start the thumb increases, and I have to be sure to do a left mitt. And at first I thought there was a mistake in the pattern, because it said the only difference was instead of knitting purl to knit to start with the knit to purl to, and I thought that can't be the only difference, but I misread. So there's more to the pattern, and then it explains how to make sure that the second mitt actually is a left mitt. Yeah, so that is that. Then we come to the shawl I'm knitting. No, we're not. I'm knitting, sorry, I'm a bit confused. But I showed you last week that I am continuing the wrist warmers, or these are longer than wrist warmers. What do you call those long ones that you put on your arms? I don't know. Anyway, but this one was knit by my friend, and she'd already started the second one, and then she wanted to undo them, and instead she gave them to me so that I could continue knitting them, and I continued knitting the second one, and I decided I wanted them to be longer, so I want them to be almost as long as a sleeve, so that I can sort of cover my whole arm in them. And then I want to knit a sleeveless pullover. I think it's called a slip over, and then I can wear that together with these sleeves by themselves, and it will sort of look like a pullover, except for this bit that is not dressed. I don't know. That's the idea that I have. I think this is probably long enough now. I wasn't 100% sure. That's why I haven't cast them off yet. I might add another 10 rounds, or I'll just cast them off, and then I will undo the cast off of this mitt, and then make them the same length as this one, and then I will start with the slip over. So that's the plan. I might even start the slip over while knitting the second one of these, just for fun. I don't know yet. So that's with the slip over. I haven't decided how many stitches to cast on yet. So depends on when I make up my mind how to knit that. That's when I'll just probably very spontaneously start knitting. The yarn is Opal 8-ply. It's the extra large sock yarn. It's double the thickness of normal sock yarn, and this was one of last year's colors, and so you probably won't find it anymore, but you might. Some shop might have some of those colors left. I don't, but yeah, really enjoying knitting this. So now we come to the Geogradient Mystery Knit Along Shawl by Stephen West, and I continued knitting the second part of clue 3. So the middle is clue 1, those stripes were clue 2. This is the first half of clue 3, and this is what I managed to knit last week. So yeah, and I think I told you last week that the light grey, I used a slightly different yarn than on this side. So the difference is that with these skeins you have 50 grams and about 200 meters, and with this yarn it's 56 grams, so it's a bit heavier, it's a little bit thicker, and I do think there is a slight difference, but I think it's not a big difference. and it's okay. And for some reason, I find that the light grey now resembles the black more now. And the black is not even alpaca yarn, it's a merino yarn. So it's interesting. It's a little different, but that's okay. I have different beads left and right. And yeah, I think it looks nice, and it won't be a problem that it's a different yarn and that they look a little bit different. I'm really getting tired of this pattern now. I think it looks fantastic, but I don't enjoy the knitting too much. But the good thing about this part of the project is that the rows are getting shorter. They are getting shorter very slowly, so you only reduce it by 1 stitch every 2 rows. So it's happening very slowly, but still I know it's getting smaller, and so I'm telling myself that to motivate myself to keep going. Alpaka sock yarn by Hansa Farm, old and new one. Then I continued knitting on the V-back tee, and that's really exciting because I finished knitting the color 2 yarn. So I knit the pullover with 3 colors. I used some light pink glitter yarn, then darker pink sparkly yarn, and then the blue-gray yarn. It's all opal sock yarn. And after I finished the front and back, because you put the stitches, I put the stitches on hold during color 2. Always depends how many colors you use and how big you knit your pullover. But for me, it was color 2. I decided to split my leftover color 2 yarn into 2 and knit them into the sleeves. That's what I've done. Last week I'd done sleeve number 1. Last Monday I showed you sleeve number 1. Then during the week I knit sleeve number 2. And I tried it on today and took pictures so you can check them out on Ravelry. And I realized that the sleeve almost exactly hits the point where I changed from color 2 to color 3. So it doesn't matter how I wear the pullover, the sleeves sort of always hit this bit where the change is. And also with both parts, I did not, you know me, I did not take care to get 2 sleeves that look the same. I just wound the yarn and weighed it. But I got 2 sleeves that are almost identical, which is really weird. But that means that both sleeves end on a dark bit. So that I've now decided to finish the sleeves off in color 3 because I think that's going to look really nice. That as it's almost the same spot where I changed from color 2 to 3 on the front and back as well. And having knit the dark bit of the color 2 right now, if I now start with color 3, it won't even be that obvious. It will sort of almost look as if I had faded it in, which I'm not doing. I just knit until the yarn ran out. But I think that's what I want to do now, what I'm going to like. And I had most of color 1 left because yeah, I didn't have that many stitches in the yoke. And I've now thought I will probably knit some sort of little shawlette or a cowl or something like that with the leftover of color 1. And then I can wear it with a pullover and yeah, I won't get cold even though the neckline, the V-neck is really deep and open. And then I can wear the little shawlette or something around my neck. That's the plan for now. So I hope to finish 1 sleeve this week, and then you can decide next week whether it was a good idea or not. That's the V-back tee, and then I knit on my summer pullover, the, what's it called? Reina de Picas, and I finished knitting the chart 3. So I thought that I had to knit more stockinette after finishing the chart, but I don't. What the pattern calls me to do now is to increase the number of stitches, then do the short rows, then split for the arms and front and back, and then they actually knit for the arms, they only knit the ribbing. And because there is some stockinette underneath the the pattern, I thought they knitted that onto the sleeve, but I think it's part of the, it's either part of the short rows or it's part of the bigger sizes where you actually do add some stockinette underneath the pattern. But for me, I not only don't need any rounds to knit underneath the pattern, but I will probably not increase my number of stitches. I put a very long cable in to try it on. I don't think I took a picture, but I tried it on, and I definitely don't need more stitches and I don't need more rows, but I do want the short rows. So I will add the short rows, then I will split for the sleeves and the front and backs, and then maybe I'll do one of the ribbings just to see what it looks like and then try it on. Yeah, so that's the plan with this. There's a lot happening, but I'm really happy to be done with the pattern. It's a beautiful pattern. I love it. I'm really happy I knit it, but it took quite some concentration because there's pattern on every round. You never have a round to just knit and relax, but that's okay. There'll be lots of relaxing knitting once I've done all the shaping stuff and then just knit the front and back down. So that's something to look forward to. And probably once I've started doing that, I'll get bored really quickly and I'll be hoping to finish the whole project, which is okay. It's good to finish things. I need to reduce the number of works in progress, I think. I never want to get down to just a couple, just like 3 or 5 or 7, but it'd be nice to not go over 10, I think. It's what I'm thinking at the moment. Might change my mind at some point. So the next pullover I'm showing you is my son's pullover, and I did bring it. I made sure it's here today, and I did continue working on it, but I did not finish it. So I did sort of, last week I was debating to not do anything so I can show you what I'm doing, or to finish it completely, but I haven't done either of them. But now you can see that I have stitches on my needle, so the ribbing that was there before is gone. And just trying to see which is the front and which is the back. I think it's this way around. And what I did, this being a flax pullover by Tin Can Knits, I knit a garter stitch band on top of the sleeve. And once I'd taken off the ribbing, it's so difficult to show, but this is, you can see the raglan line here. So this is where the ribbing started. So the neckline went from here, oops, to here where the other raglan line is. Probably can't see it, but it was really wide. And what I did is I took the garter stitches, I knit them to and fro, and at the end of every row I knit the last stitch of the garter band together with one of the stitches of either the front or the back, and that way I knit almost like a saddle shoulder. I think that's what it's called. It's really difficult to show, but I hope you can see that the raglan line ends here, and from here to here I did this knitting to and fro, and then using up the stitches of the front and back. I've done the same here. This is actually the first side that I tried it, and I need to add a few more rows here. So I tried it on my son after I'd knit this, and then he said no, it needs to be a bit closer still. And then I did this side according to what he'd told me, and then now I'll add, I think, another 10 rows here, and then I'll let him try it on again to see if it's not too tight, to make sure his head still fits through. And then I'll talk to him about how much of a ribbing he wants, whether I just knit a bit up or whether he wants a rolled neck something. Don't know. Anyway, yeah, really sorry it's so hard to show you, but I'm very happy that I think the hardest thing was taking the ribbing out. I'm really happy that worked, and I'm quite happy with my idea of just continuing with the garter stripe to get closer to the neck and get a new neckline. A friend of mine who knit the flax as well, she really liked the idea, so she did the same to her flax pullover, but she did not do the garter stripe. So she tried to do the same with the stockinette, and she told me that she isn't really happy with it, but I haven't seen it yet. So she said she'll let me have a look at it before she rips it out, so we can think about what to do differently. Okay, that's that. Then the crochet projects. The shawl's done, and I continue crocheting on the summer pullover that I'm working on. It's a pattern by Shelly Husband. I think it's the Rebecca square. And I again managed to crochet to the bit where I have these beautiful, is it scallops? But it's the point where she says to cut the yarn, because I'm going to crochet into this third loop of the stitch. So the same that I had here and did here, I'm going to do again. And again, you can see, you probably can't see, but if you were able to look at it closely, you would see that this line of stitches just goes round and round and round, and it looks as if it didn't have a beginning or an end. So really happy with that, and looking forward to continuing crochet on this. And the other crochet project that I still have is the crochet blanket, and this is probably going to be the last time that I'm showing it to you for quite some time, because I usually produce these squares during my holidays, and I won't have holidays for quite some time now. Winter is not the right time to be on holiday if you have a yarn shop or teach knitting or crochet. So these are the three rows of squares that I added to the blanket, and I think it's time to get up and show the whole blanket if possible. So it's still a fairly small blanket, but it is growing. I'm very happy, and yeah, so this can sort of rest for the time being until I find time to crochet more green squares, and then I can add them to the blanket. And while I'm standing, I'll just show you the other blanket that I'm knitting on, and that one I can keep adding squares to as long as I finish projects with sock yarn, because my plan was to crochet one square for every fingering weight project that I finish. And that's the reason that this blanket has not only just opal sock yarn, but also sock yarn by other companies, and also alpaca sock yarn by Hansa Farm, and anything that I'm using. So last week I showed you the two blue ones, so the fragmentation shawl left over. And last week I added 4 squares. Very happy that I managed to do that. With this color, I knit, the first project was socks, and I was a bit, was it that color? Oh no, it's the next color. So this was a pair of socks that I knit, and I think it was also part of the pattern battle, which would mean that that was a opal abo colorway. And then when I knit this square, while I was knitting, I realized that this square is the same yarn. So this square and this square is the same yarn. They look different because there's some pink in here, but I didn't get to the pink with this square. And there's lots more of this brown-green color that this square starts with. But it wasn't a mistake. I keep saying that I want to have a square for every project that I make. So if I use the same color for different projects, I can use it several times in the blanket. So this square was for the mitts that I knit, also as part of a pattern battle. But I had quite a bit of leftover yarn, and then a friend of mine asked me if I could knit a little hat for a baby. I think it was a preemie, it was a premature baby. So I knit a hat and a pair of tiny little socks with the leftover yarn from this yarn, but I still had enough left to do this square, and I think now it's almost completely gone. And those 2 colors I used in the same pair of socks. This is the Black Dragon series, but this was a special colorway that you could only order if you had the subscription. And this is a special skein of yarn that I was given as a gift from someone who I think ordered it from Opal. But they really went together nicely. So I knit, this was the main color for the sock, and I used the white and black for the heel and toe, and maybe for the ribbing, don't remember. But so these socks I'm going to give to my cousin's eldest daughter, and then the two other kids and the two cousins, they are getting all the banana socks, which I am showing now. So that fits really nicely. So this is the Black Dragon colorway that I'm knitting with at the moment. And these are the socks for that girl's cousin. I'm on sock number 2. Added a few stripes, not too much, but I should really like to try and finish this sock this week so I can start on the last pair that I need to do for those 5 kids. And yeah, so that's one of my goals for this week. And this is the current knit along that we're doing. So I've asked everybody to join me in knitting banana socks. There are lots of banana socks being shown in the Ravelry group, so I really enjoy seeing those. If you want to take part, if you've knit banana socks, please feel welcome to come and share them in the group. Yeah, I really enjoy seeing them. So that's the current knit along, and it's still running, but I've decided to start the next one because we've been knitting banana socks for a really long time now. And I've had several requests to do a knit along for haramaki, the Japanese belly warmers that you can also wear as a cowl or loop or as a hat sometimes. And I think one of the reasons people asked me to do that is because the book is no longer available. There was a book in German that was called Haramaki, and it's not available anymore. And I've filmed a video explaining how to knit the haramaki and also how to knit a reversible hat. I sort of based both of them on 2 books, one the haramaki book and then a German book about reversible hats, but I'm not showing all the patterns that are in the book because I don't think that would be okay with copyright things. So I only explain how to do the basic thing, which is, I think, not a secret. So there are simple patterns out there for simple haramaki and simple reversible hats. So I filmed a video explaining that, and I will release those videos on Wednesday or Thursday this week. I don't know, Wednesday or Thursday. It'll be a surprise. Yeah, and then I will start a new discussion thread on Ravelry in the group for Kikos Strickschule. Please feel free to take part, to ask questions, to show your pictures, show your yarn, and then we can knit those things together. That's the plan. And that was everything I knit and crocheted last week. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!